Stay with us. Channel 4 News. Teresa Rodriguez. Bob Mayer. Bob Weaver. Live, this is Channel 4 News at noon.
An explosive reminder to Saddam Hussein. After an Allied attack lights up the night skies, it's followed up with a daring daylight raid. Good afternoon, everybody. If Saddam Hussein thought it was over, Allies blasted the skies again today to remind him it isn't. Allied air raids attacking missile sites in the no-fly zone, sites they missed last week. The attack coming just hours after Tomahawk cruise missiles lit up the skies outside of Baghdad, blowing up a nuclear facilities plant. And just one day after yet another Iraqi MiG went too far with our own fighters and got blown out of the northern sky in Iraq. Here's the latest now from Baghdad. No. More anti-aircraft fire over Baghdad just a few minutes ago, but it is not clear if Allies have launched yet another attack. Here's a report.
Faced with continuing defiance by the Iraqi regime, Allied warplanes have returned to the air repeatedly over Iraq.
Provoked by Iraqis locking radars onto patrolling planes, dozens of Allied jets struck air defenses in both the northern and southern no-fly zones.
The operation this morning and the one last week was taken in self-defense in order to ensure that British, American and French aircraft imposing the no-fly zone would not be subject to the risk of attack.
No Allied pilots were hurt and all planes returned to base. After a cruise missile barrage Sunday night, Baghdad Monday was a place of sorrow and destruction. 21 people were reportedly killed by raids which damaged some neighborhoods.
As you see, many people killed, and for nothing. This is not Iraqi rockets. This is, I think, and I am sure that this rocket is from USA. It's made in USA.
Saddam Hussein called on Iraqis to attack the U.S. as funerals began for those killed when an apparent missile blew up at the Al Rashid Hotel. The military claims to have found a metal fragment in the rubble stamped with the name of a U.S. company that makes cruise missile engines. Iraqi officials insist, meanwhile, the plant at the Bullseye Sunday night is not a nuclear complex, as the Allies allege.
They do not want the Iraqi people or the Arab nation in general to have its own capability, its own industry.
I hesitate to read the
In Washington, President-elect Bill Clinton told diplomats Hussein should not expect a change of policy when he assumes the Oval Office.
We do not relish the prospect of military force, but when necessary, we will not shrink from using it when all appropriate diplomatic measures have been exhausted.
White House spokesman Marlin Fitzwater, meanwhile, held out the possibility of further attacks even as anti-aircraft fire erupted in the skies over Baghdad again Monday night. Fitzwater said any further provocations would be met forcefully and without warning.
Baghdad, meanwhile, is showing no signs of backing down. This is Charles Ziwi reporting live from Washington.
Charles, Bob Mayer in Miami. How far do you think the United States is willing to go with this? Do you think we're willing to begin a desert storm all over again?
Well, when you say desert storm, that would involve the movement of hundreds of thousands of troops. There's no indication at all that anything like that's in the offing, although you have more than 1,000 troops in that battalion, that 1st Air Cavalry Battalion in Kuwait right now, but they're there as a tripwire, so to speak, to prevent any Iraqi invasion or to slow it down. They're mostly, apparently, from what we can tell here, going to do it by air power, try to convince Saddam Hussein that the stakes will increase rapidly here, that they will perhaps go after his infrastructure next after they get finished with his defenses, and who knows where it goes from here. But Hussein, in the form of Tariq Aziz and his officials, are indicating they have no intentions of backing down and will continue to challenge, particularly those no-fly zones in the north and south.
Is there a feeling at this point how far we will go before Saddam Hussein strikes back?
Well, that's the $64 million question, perhaps to use a cliche. There was a scare early today when air raid sirens sounded in the eastern provinces of Saudi Arabia around Dhahran, which is a big air base there for Allied warplanes. That ended up being not true. There was a report that a Scud had been fired at that area, but that was denied by the U.S. military, and that is the threat that Saddam Hussein might use the few Scuds he has left to hurl them at not only Saudi Arabia, but more importantly, Israel.
All right, thank you, Charles Zewe, reporting live from Washington. Marianne?
And Bob, as we just heard Charles Zewe talk about at one point during the attack, reporters at that hotel stopped covering the news and became the news. Reaction from them, Saddam Hussein, and the United Nations on the attack.
And I was lying on the ground between the walls of the management and the telex desk, and people were crying really desperately, and I felt something warm on my face. It was blood, as you can see here. I was bleeding.
They are coming back to ensure what their ancestors do. They are coming back in order that God will beat them and make them failure, and He is giving glory and victory to the faithful.
I really don't think it was self-inflicted in the sense of a prearranged explosion outside the Al Rashid where the journalists stay. Saddam didn't know when the attack was coming. That would have required a considerable amount of foresight. It could have been an anti-aircraft missile returning.
Now, the White House issued a pre-dawn statement this morning saying any further provocative moves by Iraq, quote, will be dealt with forcefully and without warning. Bob?
Well, team coverage on the attack in Iraq continues now with Channel 4's Jack Atherton, who sampled South Florida's Arab reaction to the events in the Gulf.
But Fala El-Khoury left Lebanon 5 years ago to escape the turmoil in the Middle East.
It must comply with the UN Security Council resolutions.
But today, even in Boynton Beach, there's no escaping news of renewed strife, especially if you're an Arab American trying to explain feelings back in your homeland.
They will think, why Allied forces, mainly United States forces, apply United Nations resolution on an Arab state and do not apply other United Nations resolution in Yugoslavia or in the Middle East.
As regards Israel.
As regards Israel, exactly.
The Middle Eastern Delights Grocery in Delray Beach is a real Arab-American business. It's as American as yoo-hoo and as Arabic as falafel. Sophia and Zorab Gurium came to this country 3 years ago from Syria. They apologize needlessly for their English, but they make no apologies to any Arabs for thinking the U.S. should punish Saddam.
Saddam Hussein, you stay over there. You doesn't come in the Kuwait. You don't doing anything. You're doing, I fight with you. Yes.
Two customers, Joe and Dolly Dogger, are Lebanese Americans. The question for them:
what's the best for America? What's the best for this country?
That is the way you look at it?
That is the way I look at it.
But one thing everyone agrees about:
we can express our opinion in freedom, and that's one of the best things here in the United States.
In Delray Beach, Jack Atherton, Channel 4 News.
And our coverage does not stop here. Coming up at 12:30, we'll go live to Washington, D.C. for the very latest on the situation in Iraq and more on the bombing of the Al Rashid Hotel in Baghdad. And breaking news, a deadly head-on train crash in Gary, Indiana. The two commuter trains colliding head-on just a short time ago. One person
and
dead,
again, this happened
up
around
to 50
9:37.
injured. Apparently, one train was heading east from Chicago, the other west from South Bend, but it is not known yet how they ended up on the same track. More on this story as we get it.
Nation is in the air in Washington, D.C. Last night, all kinds of celebrations for Bill Clinton. Only 2 days are left until the president-elect takes office. More now from NBC's Robert Hager.
Performers, a who's who of the entertainment world, dozens of big names. And words.
We come here today to reclaim our country for the American people, to celebrate not a victory of party or persons, but the common ground we call America.
More symbolism, a walk across nearby Memorial Bridge, built to honor the reunion of North and South after the Civil War. Thousands carried tiny flashlights, many young children invited to join as a sign of hope for the future. On the other side, Clinton rang a replica of the Liberty Bell and asked that bells be rung simultaneously across the nation, even in space, where astronauts aboard the shuttle Endeavour beamed down a videotape. The evening ended with a massive display of fireworks. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
And of course, we'll be bringing you live up-to-the-minute reports on the inauguration. Tony Segreto and Brian Norcross will be in Washington, D.C. They'll team up with our Washington Bureau to bring us the inside scoop. You can see all of that tonight on 4 News Now at 5 o'clock.
Some long-awaited news for Haitians, Haiti breaking its hard-line stance against outside interference. The military-backed government has agreed now to allow human rights observers onto the island. About 70 civilian observers will be stationed around the country. They join a 16-member group from the Organization of American States already stationed there. The observers plan to interview Haitians about conditions under military rule. They'll also monitor prisons. Meantime, Channel 4's David Bloom is in Haiti, and he filed this report by phone just a few minutes ago.
This is David Bloom in Port-au-Prince. Another 49 Haitian boat people were repatriated to Port-au-Prince today by the Coast Guard cutter Confidence. That brings a total of 261 during the 3 days of Operation Able Manor. Coast Guard officials say that they believe that they've got the area around Haiti's coast pretty well bottled up, which means that either there aren't that many boats leaving, or the Haitians have decided to hold off and see what political developments bring. Yesterday here in Port-au-Prince, the United Nations Special Envoy Dante Caputo got the Army and the de facto government to agree to allow human rights observers into the country. They're expected to begin fanning out by week's end. The goal is to cut down on the violence and therefore decrease the political refugees and therefore not have the boat people streaming to the United States. There are elections scheduled here today in Port-au-Prince, in Haiti, that the international observers have decried as illegitimate and are seen only as a way for the military to try to give themselves some legitimacy. This is David Bloom reporting Port-au-Prince for Channel 4.
And David will remain in Haiti as we wait to see if the exodus happens. We'll have continuous updates from him on 4 News Now at 5 and on the Channel 4 News at 6.
Today's national holiday commemorating Martin Luther King Jr. means more than honoring the man. It's a celebration of America's fight for equal rights, and South Floridians are taking the time to honor Dr. King's message. A parade marched down Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard this morning, and at this moment a special mass is being held at St. Mary's Cathedral in commemoration of Dr. King. Well, not everyone's joining in celebrating today's national holiday. The Ku Klux Klan won the right to protest the national holiday, this only after the Davie City Council tried to block the demonstration. Katrina Daniels in Davie at the rally. Katrina?
Well, Marianne, there's not much to say about the rally at this point because there isn't a person here for it. Let's take a look around here. It's supposed to start in less than an hour. You see the police, the Davie police. They were called in for a special briefing, and they have called in backup and canceled some days off, and they've told the neighboring police departments that they should be prepared. Then you'll see them, the rest are over here at this gate. Police on both sides, and this triangular barricaded area that you see right here, this is where they are planning to contain members of the KKK that they expect in less than an hour. But as you can see, no one has come here for that rally yet, and an officer that I just finished talking with, they hope it'll stay just as quiet as it is right now. Any idea of how many people are going to come or expected?
No, we don't have a clear-cut idea on that.
It's about an hour before the event, and there's not a soul here.
That's correct. The
Which
event
makes you very happy, doesn't it?
I think the potential of a problem will cut back if the crowd is smaller, if the the demonstration itself is on a smaller level.
Well, it's a holiday, kids are out of school. Maybe there's a chance that just the plain curious will come.
There'll be some curious, but then there'll be some people that will be pro-Klan and anti-Klan, and we'll shoot from there. We'll see what we come up with.
What have you heard from the anti-Klans?
Not a whole lot. We haven't had a lot of response. The only real response we've had was through the insurance debate in court.
Of course, you know, the city of Davie lost that insurance debate. They wanted to pay or make the Klan organizers pay a $1,000 liability policy. The ACLU came in there, and the Klan won the right to have its rally without having to pay that $1,000. Now, obviously, this KKK rally to be, which the speakers step up here at 3 o'clock, according to this flyer. These flyers were passed out in schools and at Sawgrass Mills. But again, right now, there isn't anyone here massing for it yet. There is, however, a Martin Luther King parade going on in downtown Fort Lauderdale, and then there's also an MLK barbecue scheduled for Davie later on today. Marianne?
Katrina, in the past, when I've covered that story, I've found that if any, a handful of KKK people do show up, but not very significant, as you've said. Is that your experience?
It is in the past, maybe 30 people, but about 2 years ago, I think they had an incident in West Palm Beach, and that turned to be pretty ugly, as I'm sure you remember.
Okay, thank you, Katrina, for that live report. Bob?
Broward deputies believe their latest deadly accident can be blamed on alcohol. It happened early today on University Drive in Lauderhill. A woman had just left a bar where witnesses said she'd been drinking. She apparently lost control of the car and careened into a canal, drowning before anyone could reach her. Her name will not be released until her family is notified. You're listening to the Channel 4 News at noon and watching it, and we'll be right back.
After this, more news coming right up.
Can you believe this is happening in South Florida? Graffiti, arrests, narcotics, guns, shooting, gangs. Dangerous gangs have arrived, more violent than ever, better organized. Teenagers, how can you avoid the gang trap? Parents, what can you do to keep your kids out of trouble? Reporter Ariadzer goes straight to the source. Gang members too scared to speak out. Until now. South Florida, this is your problem. The gang trap. Tonight at 6 and 11 on Channel 4 News.
My mother died cooking in the kitchen. I guess that's the way she would have wanted to go. When my dad found her, he just sat down on the floor and started crying. I don't know how long he was there like that, but I know he hardly ate for the next 2 days. I took over, but thank goodness the arrangements had already been made with Riverside Gordon, down to every last Jewish detail. Thank goodness for Riverside Gordon.
Paul Tidwell is always on the lookout for value. Compare assorted varieties of Coors beer. A 12-pack of 12-ounce cans is $5.98. Get more value at Publix. Gertie Williams nurtures quality in order to bring about the best value for your dollar. Compare Publix Farm Fresh mushrooms, $1.59 for the 1-pound package. Get more value at Publix.
I'm attorney John Fuller. Are you guilty of not knowing your rights? Do you even know that if you've been hurt through the fault of someone else, you may be entitled to be paid for your pain and suffering, medical bills, and lost wages? Do you even know that it doesn't cost any money to consult an attorney to discuss your case? Call me today for a free evaluation. In Dade, 864-3311. In Broward, 763-2277. The longer you wait, the more your rights can be affected.
There's got to be an easier way to lose weight.
There is. Natural Weight Loss Centers now featuring the Inner Diet for everyone having difficulty losing weight and keeping it off. The Inner Diet helps eliminate the causes of your weight problem, and Natural Weight Loss Centers cost less.
Not like those others that can cost you a small fortune in prepackaged food. And there's no group meetings.
Lose weight just $9 a week. $9 a week at Natural Weight Loss Centers. Call 1-800-940-SLIM.
18 minutes after 12, time to take a midday look at Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average at 3273, up 2 1/2, volume 76 million shares. The NASDAQ Composite Index, 695, down 1 1/2 on a volume of 84,974,000 shares.
The sounds, the sights of the music industry. You can be part of it in management, marketing, audio engineering, and video production. When you bring the Art Institute your enthusiasm, we match it with the skills the industry is looking for. You'll learn about the record business, producing and directing videos, promoting concerts, managing performers. Train at the Art Institute and be on your way in the music and video business. Call for our free booklet that shows you how. 1-800-647-3900. Call right now. 1-800-647-3900.
Homeowners, are the windows in your home giving you problems? Do they seem to have a mind of their own? Or are your windows just old, worn out, inefficient, and nasty looking? It's a shame to have a lovely home with shabby, old, inefficient windows. Now your window problems are over. You can make your home modern-looking and energy-efficient with thermo windows, the complete window. Thermo windows are custom-made to your exact sizes in our own factory and are made of the highest quality materials and workmanship. And now the time is right to replace your old windows during our factory-authorized trade-in special. Your old windows could be worth up to $1,000 in trade. So why continue to live with costly, inefficient, and nasty-looking windows when you can trade them in for thermo windows? For complete information about trading in your old windows for thermo windows, call 1-800-456-9521. That's 1-800-456-9521. There's no obligation.
Gotta know the latest in sports? Call the 4 News Sports Hotline. In Dade, 358-8000, code 4444. In Broward, 731-7000, code 4444. It's free and a service of the Real Talk Yellow Pages and Channel 4 News.
Sunday, January 24th at the Miami Seaquarium, the 3rd annual Oceanside Auto Fest with custom classic and hydraulic cars. See you at the Seaquarium, January 24th.
Now, Channel 4 News at noon continues.
A breaking story just into the Channel 4 newsroom. An armed robber holed up inside a Pembroke Park home. Police say they're not sure if a family is inside with him. The standoff, the result of a botched armed robbery at a Hallandale service station. Minutes ago, we spoke to a neighbor who watched as police moved in.
I see cops kneeling down in kneeling position with their guns out, and they're looking as if they're waiting on somebody to come out of the house, or they're going to try to get them to come out of the house. My understanding is somebody that was running from the police, and they ran inside a neighbor's home.
Last word, the man is still inside the home. Channel 4 news crews are on the way. We'll bring you a
All
live
right,
update.
this afternoon signals a new era for television watchers in South Florida. Channel 4's super antenna tower powers up, and Channel 4 photographer Rob Pierce is live in Sky 4 with details. Rob, what do you see from there?
Marianne, right now you're looking at the most advanced television tower in South Florida, if not the entire state of Florida. And today, during 4 News Now, Channel 4's new tower will be going on the air. You're looking at it, it stands over 1,000 feet in the air, and it costs over $10 million. When it goes on the air, viewers in South Florida watching Channel 4 will be getting the best signal possible. For viewers that for a long time in very far South Dade and North Broward who have had problems getting Channel 4 will now have a crystal clear signal because it's the most advanced technology that is being used in this tower.
Rob, in what way is it the most advanced? What's going to be so advanced about it?
Well, in layman's terms, it's a new way that the signal is being broadcast, and it's going to help reduce ghosting and problems of buildings that get in the way of your signal. If you've got rabbit ears, or if you've got a master antenna on top of your house, you can retune it if you're having any problems at all, and you should have a crystal clear signal of Channel 4.
All right, thank you, Rob, for that live report. And I understand we will also be ready for high-definition TV when it becomes available. Now, South Florida cleans up from a wet and wild weekend. For the second weekend in a row, you know that we got drenched by heavy rains, and some tornadoes touched down in Broward. The twisters knocked over trees and blew away fences. No serious injuries have been reported, but one family's pet was crushed by a falling tree. From drought to flood, Southern California is battling its own weather problems. In fact, it was the Coast Guard to the rescue at the Army's Camp Pendleton. The base became a virtual swamp. 30 people had to be evacuated. Everything from roads to choppers were underwater.
One of those days when you get a chance to pull out those sweaters that you've had in your closet.